Hey guys, it's Indigo. Just wanted to make a video real quick to share my thoughts with the world. Wanted to do something on the Grand Arena. Since that's fixing to start, we're going to have to set our defense. And they gave us this 3v3 matchup. Nobody's really had a whole lot of practice with that. I know some others have made the videos, saying what they think is going to be the best defense team, what we should use for offense, which teams have synergy. These are some teams that I put together, not necessarily offense, defense. I mean, my own opinion is you got to be able to stay fluid. You got to see what your opponent has, dive through his roster, look it up in game. Then you can go over to the GG website and dive through his mods, see what he's getting arena ranks and all that. You got to build your strategy based off that. If you just go try and listen to some game changer video, that may not apply to you. So these are some teams that I come up with. Obviously, Revan, you want him in there. Probably with Jolie, probably with Grandmaster Yoda. Those seem like the likeliest ones that you should have. It's going to be a pretty hard team to beat, I think, if you set that on defense. A couple of the others here. What I did was just go through my roster and see, okay, with Jedi, if I did that, then that leaves me Bastila, and who can I put with her that would, make a decent other team. So I put Ezra and then Old Ben, of which I also have the Zeta on him that will make him taunt again. I think that'll end up turning out to be pretty helpful. Those top two teams right there, I'll probably put on defense, depending on what my opponent has in his roster. You can see I've got a GK Zeris there. Right now I got Qui-Gon in there. Probably need some kind of attacker, but it really just depends. I mean, maybe I won't set 3 Jedi teams. You got CLS, Chewie, and Han. That kind of seems like a no-brainer. Again, there's so much synergy there. You're going to be doing all kinds of damage. That'll probably be an offense team, because you should be able to tear through even a Traya, like the Triumvirate. If someone puts that down, you should be able to rip through that no problem, depending on how your characters are modded. You can see next I got the JTR team. Got R2 and BB-8. Again, that, to me anyway, it seems like a no-brainer. You look for synergy. There's so much synergy between the 3 of those that why wouldn't you put them together? For other resistance, of course, we got Zeta Finn lead. Zeta Finn plus Poe plus Resistance Trooper. Those 3 do the bulk of the work anyway. When you do resistance, you want that to be an offensive team. They can take out most other teams just because once they start that exposed train, they're just going to keep going and keep going. And it all depends on a fast Poe and a high potency, so that you can get those exposes started. As long as you can get it started, you should be able to tear through somebody without them doing much damage to you to begin with. And then you can see I got the trio there. Trey in the lead, Scion, Darth Nihilus. That one really seems like we're going to see a lot of those from people that have Traya. They may get cute this first time around and try, okay, maybe I can leave out Nihilus and use him somewhere else, or maybe I can just do Traya with EP lead or something. I mean, we may see a few strategies depending on how this first round goes, but I think after a few people get their asses kicked and others are going to look at it and say, wow, that didn't really work out like I thought it did. I need to do something else. So, and I'm sure the game changers and all them will have a round 2 of videos, like what worked, what didn't work. Nobody's really used to this 3 versus 3 combat unless you have a really accommodating arena where you got half the arena in your guild and you guys get together and say, hey, we're going to do this, let's try out some teams. You really can't get any practice. They're kind of just throwing you into the fire and seeing how well you do. So we all got to kind of wing it just based on our knowledge of the characters and the game mechanics and how the character moves work. So hopefully some of us will do well. I got okay. Next, you see Darth Maul lead Zeta. So I got him, and I got Savage Operas, also Zeta, and then Sith Trooper. Not really sure if I'll run that as the third, but with those two, they should be pretty fast, and Savage really makes them durable. So might end up putting that on defense. I just gotta see how the board's laid out too. Do we get 3 spots in front, 2 in back, or do we get 2 in front, 3 in back? Not really sure. In the bracket that I'm in, it's in the sub 4 mil bracket because I took off a bunch of my mods, dropped about 100k GP. Now, normally that won't help you, but if you're right on the edge of one of their GP brackets, that saves you from having to put up, one more team, and that's one more team that your opponent doesn't have to put up either. So you're giving yourself 2 teams worth of freedom to work with, that you would be obligated to have in your roster otherwise. So it helps me for now. I might as well milk this advantage all while I can. Soon enough, I get to upgrade, and I'm going to break that threshold. But for now, hey, we roll with what we got. Next, you see I have on here EP lead and Imperial Probe Droid, and then with Shore Trooper. My thinking with this team is, obviously you can do the EP special to take some health off the Probe Droid, and that way he can blow something up. Not sure where I'll use this team yet. And then I got Shore Trooper as a taunt, and then he can also heal if I need IPD to stick around a little bit before I can blow him up. You really want to use that strategically. So if you guys don't have IPD at a decent gear level, I think mine's 11 here. If you don't have them decently geared, you really want to. I know his primary job is to just blow up, but you want him to last so that you can use that strategically and just say, okay, I'm going to weaken Traya to the point where I can blow her up, or I'm going to, if I'm using it against the trio, I'm going to get stuck behind Pain with Scion. I got to make sure he's low enough that I can blow him up, because if you try and do it off the bat and then he doesn't die and then he just ends up healing, you wasted it, and now you're down 3-2, and they're just going to tear through the rest of your team like nothing. Let's see, going on here. Underneath that, we've got Kylo Ren with Kylo, and then I put First Order Stormtrooper. Because he has a Zeta, he might be pretty helpful there. I think that would be a good defense team. There's other combinations you can use, and people can say, I think this will work, or you should put First Order Executioner in there. I mean, you can see I got him in the team below. This is if I have to make 2 First Order teams. Might want to go with Phasma Lead and then Executioner and then First Order Officer, maybe for offense. I just want to be ready. These are basically to give me some ideas, and then after that, like I said, I'll see what my opponent has, see what kind of teams he can make and what I think he's going to make, and go based off that. But this is just to give me something so that I don't forget to have these team compositions ready. I've got Rex, Wampa, and Zalbar. The reason I use Zalbar is I don't have Cure ready or a Zeta Vandor Chewbacca for the Scoundrels team. I'm working on that. So he makes a good tank, and he puts up dots, and he can do an armor shred. All of that helps the Rex Wampa team be able to do some damage. Wampa's your powerhouse. He's going to tear through the enemy, and obviously the more dots you can put on the other side, the better. And Rex is going to help you. I know a lot of my friends in my alliance tried this last go around to solo an enemy Phoenix team with just Wampa, and they would say, oh, I messed up, I got 3 of them down, and then I got stunned or something, and I ended up losing. Well, it's better safe than sorry. I know we're all trying to max points, but you want Rex in there so you can get that cleanse and the tenacity up. That way you don't have to run into that. It's more of a kind of like a safety thing. I mean, he'll do some damage, but he's mainly there for the cleanse and tenacity up so that Wampa can continue to keep doing his thing. And then Zalbar's in there to help support that with the extra dots and the tank. For bounty hunters, I mean, I'm not a big fan of bounty hunters. I got them up, obviously, because the Chewie event, and everyone's like, oh, get Boss Zeta. Okay, so there we go. He seems to be pretty decent, as a defensive option. I had him hold 3 battles on one of my battles for the last Grand Arena. So I'm sure he'll work out okay. If you got different bounty hunters leveled up, I mean, there's 2 full squads, like 10 bounty hunters. You should be able to pick 3 and pick your best 3 and make a team. You can probably make a few teams just based on what you have. I'm not going to say, oh, I picked Cad Bane because he could stun somebody and he's the best one to have here. No. That's just what I happen to have. Otherwise, I'm going to stick in a G8 Dengar. That's not going to do any good. So that's just the best ones I feel that I happen to have. So that's what you have to do with your own roster is look through, see what you got, and then just build the best teams that you can build. Because I know, let me mention it, okay, some people right now are looking at the brackets and they're saying, oh, I'm 3.6 mil, and I got to put down, 10 teams. Well, guess what? Your opponent's also thinking that, sitting there like, well, I got to put down 10 teams too. And if you don't have it, and unless your roster is a bunch of fluff and you've just been adding a bunch of needless gear and you're a person that's like, I got to get everybody to G8, and fluff up my GP so that it'll look pretty. I don't know. I mean, if you're in that situation, this game mode probably isn't meant for you. Good luck to you if you win, since it's a straight GP match, but you're probably not going to. This is for people that, are running lean. There's some people that don't even activate characters, and they wait until they have the 330 shards all at once, or that they've hoarded gear, and they'll sit there and wait to level them up. Well, that works. This game mode is meant for them because they're not going to get penalized on, the extra fluff. But it also doesn't help in game modes like territory battles when you're trying to hit that next star and everyone's trying to get, I need to get 45 stars, 48 stars, then your guild leaders tell you, upgrade everything, mod every character. That way everybody's got as much GP as they have to contribute. And then this mode comes out and you're penalized for that. I mean, it's a little bit of a shame, but I don't know. Like I said, you got to use what you got. And so if you have decent characters, you may say, oh yeah, I really love bounty hunters, so I made you know, I can make 3 bounty hunter teams. I'm going to do that. But this game changer over here told me I should only do a boss lead bounty hunter and forget the rest. Nah, you got to go off what you got. What's next? Wedge Biggs, and then ST Han. I only put him in there just for a tank, and he'll be able to give some turn meter to the other 2. They're the 2 that are going to do most of the work. You got to find an ideal matchup for them, but the goal is just to get in, move first, use big special, and get that spike damage to kill one enemy so that you're up 3-2. And then if you can get Han to taunt after that, that'll feed the turn meter, and you'll be able to, win. Let's see, next team, Vader, Sidious, and Bastilla, Dark Side Bastilla. You got to find a place for her. I know a lot of us leveled her up because for a Traya Revan counter, and she's pretty stout. Even at 4 stars, I've got her at close to, I think, 100k health plus protection. I mean, she's a lot stouter than, say, my 7-star Dooku that I have, So she might be able to do something under a Vader lead. I don't know if I'll use... I could use Sidious, I could use Dooku. There's options, but like I said, I just put these teams in here just to give you an idea. Okay, I've used this guy, I've used that guy, used that one, and I wanted to see how many teams I can make. Because if you got to put 10 on defense, then you need a minimum of 10 on offense. So that right there is 20 teams if you don't screw anything up. So just go through, see what you can make, and, hopefully you've got enough. I know for some of the players out there that are smaller GP, they're like, oh, I'm barely 2 million. I'm not going to have that many teams. Well, like I said, your opponent's not going to either. They're in the same boat you are. They're going to be just as screwed if they have to put X amount of squads out. So don't go thinking, I got to put 10 stout teams out here, and I'm not going to have anything left for offense. That's not necessarily the case. Let's see, what else? We've got Night Sisters, Asajj, Zombie. Probably not going to run Nest with them. Nest works pretty good when it's a 5-man squad, but she's got a couple other places that she might be a bit more useful. Might put Daka in instead, just to keep it all Night Sisters and have the revives in there. Probably make a stout defensive team, I would think. Underneath that, you can see Krennic. I do have the Zeta on there. I think that'll come into play. Now these more like obscure Zetas, depending on how many 3-man teams that we have to keep doing, like we're doing it this week, but what if the next Grand Arena, next week is also going to be 3-man or something? So if that's the case where we don't have the extra support or the extra tank, then we got to rely on the characters that we have, and the 3-man, you want to get the most bang for your buck. And so anybody that has synergy, like with Death Trooper and Krennic, how they have that interplay together, or like you see with Han and Chewie, how they work together, things like that. A lot of the 2-man, 3-man synergy teams are going to be your go-to teams. When you see, like, okay, underneath this, we got Veers, Stark, and Range Trooper. Well, Veers, obviously, Zeta for troopers, that's a given. And then Stark for the buffs and Range for the buffs, that seems like a no-brainer, because they all are going to constantly, like, work together. Good synergy, so that's what you want. This team right here underneath, you can see Thrawn, If you have Thrawn lead and you have Magma and then you have Death Trooper, that's a Traya counter right there. I've used it already in the 5-man team with IPD and DP, or I've used it with Shore and I think Stark. But basically, with Thrawn lead, he's going to feed a bunch of turn meter off of Scion, because Scion's constantly going to give pain to Magma. Your Magma is going to keep doing damage, getting pain, getting more turn meter, and that's your triumvirate killer right there. As soon as you can get one of them down, usually it's Traya. Once she goes, boom, Death Trooper, Death Mark Scion. You can kill him off, and then it's all about controlling Nihilus until he goes. Again, you just got to go based off theory and the game mechanics, because none of us have really played the 3v3. This is a totally new thing, and for some reason, CG refuses to give us a sandbox mode where we can go in and test whatever team we want against, say, a guildmate or a friend, and just practice. For some reason, and it's been asked a couple times, I'm like, well, the player base doesn't really want that. There's other things they would rather have. Yeah, like the Bronzonium packs all the way to the left, finally. It only took them till their 3-year anniversary to finally give us that, Who knows when we'll get a sandbox. A lot of the game changers, they had their test accounts, and that's nice for them because they could go through and test this and test that and make videos ahead of time on things. But that's also like unlimited arena fights. If I had a test account, I would sit there and use that and say, hey, whoever, put this team in for 3-man. Let's do some gameplay footage on this Thrawn, Death Trooper, Magma Trooper, and you put the trio in. I'm going to show everybody. And you can become the best player ever if you have countless hours of the match behind you, if you've done it. If you've never used any of these teams, you might mess up the first time or two that you try it, but if you've done it 1,000 times, you're going to have it down pat and know exactly what to do. So it's a lot of experience that we don't have, and like I said, unless you have a friendly arena and you can change your teams and try it, and even then you're only limited to your few fights before the refreshes start getting expensive, or people outside your arena chat decide now's the time they're going to make their moves, since y'all are messing around, and take your spot or move up when they're not supposed to. I don't know. That's my rant. Below that, you can just see 2 Ewok teams. Obviously, there's going to be some Ewoks in the Grand Arena, with everybody having tried for C-3PO. Everybody, it seems like, has Chirpa, Zeta, and they may have some others. So you're going to see an Ewok team there, I'm pretty sure. Be ready with your own, whether you put on defense or save for offense. This is just showing you there will probably be a primary one with Chirpa, and then I put Wicket and Paplu. But you can see people alternate. It's just whatever they have. And then if I had to make a second one, because I needed a filler team, I've got Tebow's the only other lead, with 2 others, Logray and Elder. But this isn't even all the characters that I have. You don't see my L3 up here, which that could go under Kira, with Ness, I'm not sure. So there's going to be extra characters you have available. Like I said, you just got to stay fluid and see what your opponent has. Try to think like, okay, this guy is rank 1 in the arena. He's, he knows what he's doing, so he's probably going to put good teams down, this, and this. So I need to be ready, and I need to have counters for those. It's all about trying to anticipate your opponent and trying to make sure you have enough counters ready so that if you do this and he does this, you can do that. That's just the way it works. And I like Grand Arena because it's a lot like the territory wars. You just kind of live and die by your own hand in this mode. You don't have to worry about if your guild mates are not picking up the slack and doing their part, and then you have to do extra. This will hopefully make everybody better killers and more efficient, and that way next territory comes around, you don't get all these people losing battles they shouldn't be, and you can stay on that winning streak. You know, that's what we were doing. I'll be glad to get back to that. Anyway, this is just something I wanted to throw together just so I could share my thoughts on the Grand Arena, and hey, hopefully it pans out. I haven't lost a Grand Arena battle yet, and I don't plan to, but you never know. Y'all take it easy.